Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thank you for joining me for another video. As always, free way you can support the channel. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And thank you again. So many people are joining me on the Patreon account. I see new followers there every day. I post exclusive access, exclusive, whatever. I post things, I share my portfolio there. I share some information that I think is worth its weight in gold. Or should I say worth its weight in Bitcoin, although Bitcoin doesn't, anyway. Check it out if you haven't yet. You could get in for as low as $2.99 and see my entire portfolio, see the trades that I'm making, see the analysis that I'm doing, aside from things that I share in this video. But other than that, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. So Litecoin is having its turn, and the way it usually works is Bitcoin has a run, then Ethereum has a run, and then Litecoin has its run, and then that opens the doors for several other cryptos to kind of have their turns. Now we've got to talk about the elephant in the room, which is just Dogecoin right now. My goodness, I expected Doge to trickle up. I expected it to trickle up leading up to Elon Musk going on SNL. I did not expect Doge on Tuesday of that week to have already shot up to 55 cents. Which is great for me because I bought $800 worth of Doge on Saturday when it was at 30 cents. But guys, this confirms even more so that this is all hype. It's all hype that this price is going to dump when Elon Musk goes on SNL. Now, I could be wrong about that, but there's just no way. There's no way that this is going to just, after it's shot up as much as it has, after it's doubled in a week, that it's just going to keep on shooting up after Elon Musk makes an appearance on a TV show that 1 million people are watching. No, it's not happening. And Doge is it's done this before. It's sucking a lot of resources into it right now that is causing just a little bit of stagnant growth in other areas. And it's fine at the end of the day, at the end of this cycle, all of our wildest dreams will come true as long as we exit at the right time. We don't become bag holders, we don't take profits, but still, it's just what in the world, Doge? So I don't expect it to go back down until Saturday. I am selling some of my Doge on Saturday, probably like 4,000 Doge. I have 32,000. I'll sell like 4,000, take those profits and put it in other places. We'll see. I haven't decided yet, but I am selling some of my Doge before Elon Musk gets on SNL. Just want to point that out. But hey guys, I realized something the other day and I'm eager to share this with you. And so let's just hop on over to this thing. So let me just explain to you that anytime I see a circulating supply of a stable coin shoot up like crazy, my mouth starts watering. Because usually what happens is that I expect the price of Bitcoin to shoot up almost immediately after we see this supply of stable coins increasing. So what am I looking at right now? I'm looking at a chart of the USD coin circulating supply. And on April 29th, between April 29th and May 1st, the circulating supply jumped up really rapidly. Jumped up from about 11 million to 14.5 million coins. Billion coins. 14.5 billion coins. So it jumped up by 3.5 billion coins. What does that mean? That means that an institution, most likely, or deep pockets have entered the space and they're looking for a place to put these stable coins, that they don't just want to be holding stable coins. The entry for other cryptocurrencies a lot of the times is through stable coins, and institutions in particular love to load up on USD coin over Tether. And so they're loading up on USD coin and they're going to put it somewhere. Up until recently, up until this past week, that has always been an indication that the price of Bitcoin was going to shoot up like crazy. But then the price of Bitcoin remained flat. It's at 56,000 right now. And, it shot up to about 59,000. It got down to as low as 52,000 in the last week. And now it's at 56,000. So I'm like, what is going on? And then I realized something as I was just laying in bed last night that, wait a second, these institutions, they're not putting their money towards Bitcoin. they're putting it towards Ethereum. Now, if you want to, I don't know of a better explanation logically for why Ethereum just keeps shooting up the way that it is, aside from the fact that institutions, instead of pouring their money heavily into Bitcoin, they're pouring it into Ethereum. Now, maybe they're seeing the same things that I'm seeing. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe they're seeing more than what I'm seeing. I mean, I pay attention. I live and breathe crypto these days. But what I'm seeing with Ethereum, with ETH 2.0, is the potential as it becomes a deflationary currency that one day there may potentially be as little ETH as there are Bitcoin. And so what does that mean? That means that the growth potential until that day comes for the price of ETH is out of this world in comparison to Bitcoin. That may be one day far into the future. I mean, far into the future, one ETH might equal the price of one Bitcoin. And so as far as I'm concerned, I really am warming up to the idea Bitcoin will always be, it's like my firstborn child, it's always going to be my favorite crypto. But ETH could really, really eat into Bitcoin's share of the market here. I mean, it is a superior platform, but Bitcoin has its function as kind of the digital gold, as the store of value. So I am super bullish Bitcoin. And as of right now, I believe that buying and holding Bitcoin will be a better investment 20 years from now. And when you retire, if you're young, than ETH is. But perhaps ETH might be the better investment for the next decade. Institutions, I'm following the smart money when I'm saying that right now. That ETH, it's clear to me. They have shifted. They're pouring their money into ETH. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we just kept on seeing, don't FOMO, but I wouldn't be surprised if we kept on seeing this kind of every morning you wake up, you check the price of Bitcoin, you're like, oh, okay. And then you check the price of ETH, and it's like, whoa, what is going on here? ETH was $2,000 32 days ago, and now it's flirting with $3,500. It could be one of these things like Bitcoin from like October of 2020 to January. It was like every day I would wake up and be like, whoa, what is going on? This price keeps shooting up. The same thing might be happening with ETH right now as institutions are pouring more and more money into it. With that being said, there's going to be a point where they shift their attention back to Bitcoin. That ETH is at its fair value for where they believe it is, and perhaps that as this excitement is happening, that it overshoots that, and then they take their profits and they put it back into the number one player, which is, in my opinion, still in my opinion, will always be Bitcoin. And so I expect one day before we know it, the price of Bitcoin to shoot up like crazy. You just got to be patient. Consolidation phases are boring. They're frustrating when other cryptos are shooting up and doing their thing, and then Bitcoin's just kind of been flat for a period of about 70 days now. And it's like, it's frustrating. I understand, but Bitcoin will have its day. Trust me on that. And so something else that I found was really interesting. This guy, I've talked about him, William Clemente III. He's 19-year-old. He's a finance major. Good guy. I think that he's getting a little bit too much praise because he's doing exactly what I dream of doing. He's paying $800 a month for Glassnode level 3 data, and he's just simply sharing that data on Twitter. And so he made an interesting point about this. I've mentioned this before. The supply of Bitcoin is decreasing. It continues decreasing. And at the end of this bull run, I'm certain that the supply of Bitcoin will increase a little bit, but then it will continue to decrease as more and more institutions gobble up their $100 million worth of Bitcoin or their billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. By the next bull run, you are not going to be able to buy Bitcoin. I'm sorry. You are not going to, trust me, you are not going to be able to buy Bitcoin, which is why I'm not selling any of my Bitcoin right now. I want to be a holder and accumulator of Bitcoin because there is coming a day when you will not be able to go on Coinbase and actually they will be out of Bitcoin. And so William Clemente III points out, fun fact, if Bitcoin keeps moving off Coinbase at the rate they have over the last 5 months, the exchange will have 0 Bitcoin left to sell in 454 days. So I retweeted this, I quote tweeted it, and I just said, yeah, I mean, I think he would acknowledge this too. At the end of this bull run, there will be some Bitcoin, a decent amount of Bitcoin put onto exchanges, and then this will happen more over time. But watch out for that next halving when the production is cut in half from 900 Bitcoin a day to 450, and then more and more institutions. We're still so early on institutions getting in on this that, man, we're going to run out of Bitcoin for sure before 4 years from now, 4 years from today. So not 454 days, but not 1,000 days. No way. So get Bitcoin, be an accumulator of Bitcoin, acquire your Bitcoin. All right, moving on. Something interesting here. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about this with Ethereum. So Grayscale just straight up stopped buying Bitcoin. Why is that? It's not. Grayscale is, as far as I know, the biggest institutional holder of Bitcoin. They hold something like, I think it's 600 plus thousand Bitcoin. And they straight up stopped buying Bitcoin sometime at the end of February, early March, which, if you've seen, I mean, end of February, we topped out at $58,000. Right now, we're at $56,000 for Bitcoin. And so has that had an effect? Sure, it has, because Grayscale was accumulating large chunks of Bitcoin. And so what's going on here? Do we need Grayscale to be accumulating anymore? No, not necessarily. Honestly, no. We will still shoot up like crazy. There will be retail FOMO, all this stuff. But Grayscale has stopped purchasing Bitcoin. It has nothing to do with their desire or their thought that we're at the top. Zero. It's that Grayscale is having some trouble right now. That there was an ETF launched in Canada. There have been more options for things that correlate to the price of Bitcoin, and Grayscale isn't correlating anymore with the price of Bitcoin, which is a problem. That means that Grayscale is selling at a discount. Investors like investing in Grayscale because they get a return that's almost equal to the price of Bitcoin. That's the appeal with Grayscale. But they've been at a discount for several months, and so now they have to stop accumulating. But there's some things moving forward here. Grayscale wants to be an ETF now, which I think is exactly what they need to do. And there are several Bitcoin ETFs that are getting ready to be launched. When the first Canadian ETF was launched, they immediately accumulated 11,000 Bitcoin, excuse me. It's not, you don't say it plural. They immediately accumulate 11,000 Bitcoin. Once Grayscale actually does become an ETF instead of what they are right now, and once a Bitcoin ETF is launched in the United States, the accumulation of Bitcoin is going to go crazy. And so maybe that's the catalyst needed, but I really don't think we need a catalyst to get us out of this consolidation period. Just be patient. There's something to pay attention to. And here's another thing. I absolutely pay attention to this. Miner position net change. Miners are accumulating right now. This is always a big thing. Miners are very smart. They know when to sell. They know when to dump their holdings onto Coinbase or when to sell their crypto. And as of right now, miners are accumulating at levels that we haven't seen since this period from October of 2019 until July of 2020, when, forget about that crash, the coronavirus crash in March. Bitcoin was relatively hovering around $10,000, give or take, and it stayed like that for quite a while. And so miners are holding right now because what they're going to do is they're going to accumulate their Bitcoin and they're going to wait for a big run up. And they're not going to dump, but just the net position change, you're going to see a little bit more red on this chart. But miners are a great canary in the coal mine to try to figure out where we are going with the price of Bitcoin. And this is a clear indicator that we are going up with the price. So be patient. I don't know about you. I pay way too much attention to Bitcoin. I care way too much in comparison to where my portfolio is. Bitcoin is a heavy, heavy amount of my portfolio right now. And I'm making plenty of money with my altcoins, okay? But it seems like all I care about is Bitcoin. It's like I see Ethereum at $3,500 or so. Let me head back to this chart, see where we're at, 3477 or so. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but man, Bitcoin only at 56,000. And I love Bitcoin. I love it so much. And that's always going to be the case. You're my first love, Bitcoin. For currencies at least. So anyway, that is all I have for today. I would love to hear your thoughts as well. Like, subscribe, comment in the comment section, comment for the algorithm, whatever you want to do to help me build this channel. I would greatly appreciate it. But otherwise, I hope you have a great and prosperous day. Crypto to the moon, all of that. Bless you all. Have a great week. Peace.